So it's Tuesday, the 9th of February, and this week I've had the delight of having to sort out my will. Oh, God, I tell you what, how depressing is that? Do you know what? Really, it's something I've never really thought about. You know, you always sort of get quite complacent and you think, oh, I'm too young and don't need to think about things like that. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're watching the telly and you see these, the guy who knocks on the woman's door with a watering can and goes, guess what I've done today? I've got my death insurance plan. And you think, oh my God. And then they flag up then that it's only over 50s can apply. And you suddenly get this realisation that, shit, you know, you are getting a bit older and you need to think about these things. But anyway, we've had to think about these things because of things we've been doing with the house and stuff. So I have spent the whole week, and I've been doing rods at the same time as well. But you know what? It is really something that you need to sort out. And I know Sue Allen may be watching this, and I know that her husband, I've heard, is very good at sorting out wills. Dave Allen. Bit of free promotion for you there, Dave. But I had already gone with somebody else before I realised that Dave actually did them. But it is really, I tell you what, especially when you've got a blended family and you've got relations in the family as complicated as what I've got, you really do have to set matters in order. And actually, I was finding myself getting quite annoyed because when they give you the scenarios of, well, this could happen and someone could do this and that, I was finding myself going, oh, they dare do that. But I'm like, of course, I won't be there to go wade in it and get involved. But actually, when you've done it, you do feel quite like you've got all your affairs sorted, and that's one less thing to think about. Because I tell you what, people think, oh, I don't want to think about that and I don't want to leave it, but it leaves such a mess behind if you don't put your affairs in order, especially if you're a homeowner or you've got, you know, a property or anything like that. It really does make it complicated. Anyway, so I bit the bullet and did that this week, and it just started making me think really about stuff, information that is held on you and stored. And I've never been one to worry about this sort of thing, purely because I've never had anything to hide, and I used to think, oh, people are just being a bit over the top, you know, everyone's going to hold information on you and what have you, and it's nothing really to worry about. But out of curiosity, I decided to contact Dyfed-Powys Police. And as you all know, any of you that have read my book, I left my book with no content. This is my makeshift Two Cops and a Robber, because I've sold all my copies. Whenever I get any here, people ask for them, I sign them, and they're sold. So this is all I've got at the moment. Still available on Amazon, still selling really well. But those of you that know, when I was in Dyfed-Powys Police, obviously they hold records on you. So I was very interested to see what they still held, because under data protection, as I understood it, they have to keep any data on me, has to be reasonable, has to be proportionate, and has to be regularly reviewed. So I thought, oh, I left Dyfed-Powys in 2007. Let's have a look and see what they've done about reviewing my information. Now, Dyfed-Powys Police, if you look on the Information Commissioner website, all organisations who hold data have to follow rules and procedures to keep that proportionate and to keep it safe. But they've been hauled up a few times, Dyfed-Powys Police, about their inability for whatever reason to do this, and they've been highlighted on the website. So I thought, oh, let's have a look then and see what's what. So I put my request in, and it came back that all my information had been removed, except, and there's always an except, so you know what's coming, except for, well, guess what department? Yay! Professional standards. So, professional standards are still keeping information on you. Okay, what information are they holding? Oh, we'll come back to you. So, another few weeks passed, they sent back, and they had 4 pieces of information on me. The first 2 were regarding some informal resolution that some motorist made against me. Petty nonsense. The second one was about the two female officers in the book who alleged that I was bullying them, and then the last 2 were my hearing and the investigation by Kent Police. So I said, right, well, okay, so why have you still got those records? Because 2007 I left the job, and that's quite a number of years. Oh, well, then came, well, we've got a new weeding system and, we're struggling to get through it and some records hadn't been looked at and some da da da. So they made all this stuff saying they hadn't done anything wrong and it was quite fine for them to have these records. But then they said, but we will make yours a priority, which suggested to me that actually they should have sifted them long ago. Anyway, long and short of it is, cut a long story short, they come back to me and they say they've got rid of the two in 2004, but they're keeping the disciplinary ones. So I'm like, well, okay, so why are you keeping the disciplinary ones? So the answer that comes back is because they need to ensure that I never get accepted to work in the police service again. Gutted by that. And secondly, that I'm going to read it because I wanted to get it right, that I'd failed to cooperate with Kent Police, and this is the best bit, that I'd attempted to pervert the course of justice. Now, anyone who knows anything about law knows that attempting to pervert the course of justice is a criminal offence for which you go to a criminal court and you are heard in a criminal court. I never had any criminal charges against me because I didn't do anything wrong. I had disciplinary charges against me which were cooked up by the force and obviously which I had a hearing and which they found me guilty of. I can shout and scream and kick about that all I like. I can't change it. We disagree with it, but I can't change it. So that's what they hold on me. So anyone who applies for a reference, or if I ask them to provide a reference, which I never would in a million years, but if I did or anyone applied, that's the information you get back, which is quite a serious thing to read. If I was to read that somebody had been done for attempted pervert the course of justice, I would think they had been involved in quite a serious offence. So it's quite damning on that person. So the explanation comes back then that the reason I have this on my record is that they are allowed to equate my disciplinary charges with the nearest thing that it would fall into the box in a criminal charge. So that is what they've equated it to. So I'm like thinking to myself, the thing that frustrates me about this the most is that I did not attempt to pervert the course of justice. If you read my book, you will know that certain officers or senior officers were, unfortunately, caught out being less than accurate in my hearing. We had statements from Kent Police confirming that I had not done anything wrong. And we had all the evidence, but we can't change that, right? The panel made the decision based on their opinion. It wasn't a court of law, so they didn't need the evidence to make that decision. But all the same, that now is on my record for all to see, whoever, if it's ever needed, which suggests a lot more than the actual truth and reality of it. But the funniest bit about this is that they said, we've checked your record for accuracy, I've got to get this right now, and we are, this is the Chief Constable now, we are entirely satisfied that the records that we hold are accurate. However, we feel that some amendments need to be made. So there's always a however, so they're not entirely accurate then. So first of all, they weren't accurate because they said that I was dismissed by the force. I was never dismissed. I was required to resign, which is a completely different thing. So they've corrected that, which I'm very pleased about. Thank you so much. I will sleep better at night. But not being content with conceding that that was wrong, they then said, it says that you breached the standard of honesty and integrity, but we think you also breached the general conduct, so we're going to add that onto your record as well. So, look, after all these years in 2007, they can't just say, yes, actually, some of the record is wrong and we've corrected it. They have to, add a little bit on, which, for me, and this is my personal opinion, shows that they will never give up trying to twist the knife. They will never, ever give up trying to... It's just so hard for me to accept the fact that I was... I have statements to show that I fully cooperated with Kent Police and which they agreed I fully cooperated, and yet that is on my record, which is a total load of bollocks, but I can't change it. It's there, it's there for anyone to see, and it casts an incorrect version of what the true reality is. And yet those people who were less than honest in their statements walked away. We made complaints, then we were just told we'll give them words of advice. Because, why? Because they were senior officers. Senior officers, in my view, in the old boys club, and therefore they get treated differently. So that's my funny thing. It doesn't bother me because nothing surprises me with Devon Powers Police. They ain't going to have any effect on my life ever again. I've got my own business, and my time of worrying about them is long gone. But it was just very interesting to see what records are held, well, were held on me. Um, an entertaining little exercise. And that then also brings me on to my rant of the day, which is social media. So, social media, at the moment, I go onto Instagram and all I see is fake. I don't know if anyone else is the same, but it's all fake, right? Nothing seems to be real anymore. I don't know whether it's the pandemic, but everything seems so condensed and so fake. There is no reality whatsoever. There's plenty of cheesiness and there is no reality. So this morning I noted, and I find it on my phone because I was so like gobsmacked by it that I took a photo. And basically it's talking about 9 warning signs. I don't know if you can see on there. 9 warning signs of mental exhaustion. Mental and emotional exhaustion. Now bear in mind now, kids are on the internet and kids sort of are very influenced by whoever they follow on the internet, and these things are appearing and they can send quite a strong message. So apparently if you have any of these 9 signs, then it is a big warning sign that you are mentally, emotionally exhausted. No. What these 9 signs are human emotions that happen every single day. They are natural emotions. You are not a freak because you experience them. You are not suffering some mental breakdown because you suffer them. They are completely and utterly normal human emotions, because nothing, as we all know in life, is straightforward, is it? There is not one of us that can go through life and have all the luck in the world, all the happiness in the world, and never ever, fall down, never ever make a mistake, never ever be disappointed, never ever be heartbroken. It doesn't happen, right? Reality is all of these emotions, and that's what makes us human. But I feel that social media is trying to get rid of all these human emotions and make us all like bloody robots or something, that we have no emotions, and that it becomes a bit of a label or something. Having these emotions is something to be ashamed of. And I always encourage, my son, he's a boy, and I don't know if I can even say that now, do you know what I mean? But I encourage him that to cry is not to be, to show that you're weak. That is a human emotion, and very often to have a good old cry, I as much as I come across as being quite, people say, oh, I'm quite gruff and I'm quite this and that. God, there are some times that I'll have a good old cry and you feel a million times better for it, because it's a part of the body's response to human emotions, and it's certainly nothing to be ashamed of. Anyway, let's go back to this list, because it's right. So number 1, if you're easily irritated, it's a warning sign of mental and emotional exhaustion. No, it is not. If you are easily irritated, it shows that you're human, and it also shows that there are many Muppets in this world who seem to all sometimes appear on social media at the same time and spout nonsense that it makes anyone who's half sane go, what the hell is this I'm reading? It's total nonsense. Lack of motivation. We all have lazy days, don't we? There's some days I can get out of bed and go, I can't be arsed today. I'm just going to sit on the sofa and watch the TV, which I've done quite a lot of during lockdown. There's other days I'll get up, I'll go for a run, I'll go for a walk, I'll do a bit of training, I'll do weights. You do whatever and you smash things out of the park. That is just human nature, normal human behaviour. Anxiety or a panic attack. Well, yes, okay, that is a sign that you're under stress, but they're not life or death. You learn how to deal with an anxiety attack, and you understand what's stressing you out, and you can learn to manage it. It's not a big deal on the scale of, oh, let's get in the box. Get you in that box of being mentally and emotionally exhausted. Indigestion, insomnia, detached from reality. God, I think most of us want to be detached from reality these days, because nothing is real, is it? Everything you watch on the news or on the TV is bloody nonsense. Feeling of emptiness, and crying unexpectedly. All of these, right, are normal human emotions. And I think the most worrying thing, take away all that me taking the mick out of these things, is that I read this and I get frustrated, because I think all this stuff comes up and you read it and you go, this is part of life. This is part of growing up, and this is part of understanding human emotions and stuff that you need to learn to deal with to get on with life. But it's being made to brand this, you have mental health, and I'm not disrespecting mental health by any stretch of the imagination, right? Because there are some people who have serious mental health issues, but I often think that a lot of people are led to believe or led down that path when actually what they're experiencing are ordinary, normal human emotions. But it's also fake, isn't it? Well, you know, we look on the internet. I mean, I looked the past couple of days on Instagram, and then you get like, you know, oh, somebody just lying there by the pool with the waiter, or the picture of the horses in the background, or the two Ferraris and all of this, and they're going, oh, we're with you, we're all in this together. Are they bollocks? They're on their ranch or on their mansion somewhere with a swimming pool and a gym, and life for them is not as hard as for a person living in a high-rise block in London with 4 kids, no garden and no money. So no, we're not all in this together. And again, that's just another example of how things have become so fake. And then you get the pictures then of, you know, this is me, I've just woken up and relaxing on a Sunday morning, and they're immaculate makeup, not one wrinkle. Look, can you see? I'm doing this now, right? I noticed the other day, as you look in the mirror, you go, blimey, I've got these lines, right? But this is all, these are emotion lines, right? From laughing, crying, all through life. I'm 53 years of age coming up, and there is no chance, hell on earth, that I'm not going to have any wrinkles. But I'm happy to be 53. I'm grateful I've got as far as 53, and I know that I'm going to get wrinkles, and nobody has the perfect body because it's just not out there. It doesn't work. And yet on social media, you know, you get these pictures of, you know, faces. You got foreheads that don't move. You got faces. You got lips that come up. Oh, I can't even do it. Lips that you just look and go, how is that attractive? You look before and after. You look lovely before. Why have you had that done? And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like by the time I get to 80, fingers crossed if I even get to 80, right, is everyone going to be filled with filler? Everyone will have the same personality. No one will have an opinion or a view. You won't be able to have, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, debate which is enjoyable, you know, without having to. I mean, if you look on social media now, right, the common things people debate are the vaccines, who has the vaccine first, who doesn't have the vaccine first, whether the kids should go back to school, whether businesses should open, right? Everyone's got a view on that, and everyone's got a valid point of view. But how many times do you see the discussion lapse into verbal abuse? I got into one last week because they were talking about, oh, the kids shouldn't go. There's a site called Pembrokeshire Coronavirus. If you read it, it's entertainment in itself, right? There we are, it's everyone's opinion, and they're all entitled to their own opinion. But a lot of it is misinformed, and people who are scared and listen to what other people are saying, and it's quite shocking to read. But anyway, they were talking about going back to work and stuff like that, and I went on and I just said, this is my opinion only, I'm not going to argue, but it doesn't matter whether the teachers are vaccinated to go back to school, because vaccination doesn't guarantee against infection to start with. Secondly, if you are relatively out of the high risk area, then the chances of you getting an extreme reaction to coronavirus clinically are low, although there are exceptions to that, but the greater odds are that you won't have an extreme reaction and you'll be fine. And thirdly, even if you had the vaccination, you could still catch coronavirus, and if you had the symptoms, you'd have to isolate anyway. So it makes no difference whether the teachers are vaccinated or not. But my point was, my son, who was 10, Frankie, he is now out of school. He's struggling with homeschooling because he hates not having face-to-face learning. He's going through his work, but he does fall behind. But we sort of go with it and say, well, you do what you can. But he's dying to get back to school. He wants to meet with his friends. He wants to have that normal interaction, the fun and stuff. Meantime, he can't go because everyone's moaning that the schools are shut, and we got to shield the elderly and we got to shield the sick. Yeah, I'm going to Tesco's, and all the elderly and sick are trawling around the aisle, tutting and moaning if you try and get a bit of butter, you know, and disturb their conversation because they're there having a gossip. But now they're having the vaccinations, which is fine, and are talking about going to bingo and everywhere else, and oh, we can go out now, and yet the kids are still at home. I just think it's very skewed. I'm not saying that no one should have the vaccine. I'm not saying that I've got no regard if you're over 70, that, you know, you take your chance and that's it, you're at the latter years of your life. I'm not saying that at all, and I'm not saying those lives are less important than anyone else. But what I'm saying is, let's get some balance. You know, the economy's going down the pan, the kids' education is going down the pan. Let's just bring some normality back and stop being frightened to live life instead of hiding away and, you know, and being bombarded by all this stuff that just, quite frankly, is fake. It's all, a lot of what is propagated out there, and I'm not one of these that you know, doesn't believe there's a virus. I fully believe there's a virus. I know there's a virus, and I know it's very serious for some, and it's very sad in the loss of life. But we don't seem to have a balance of reality on this, or perspective. We just seem to be drifting, and every day the monotony of reading all this stuff, and like I said, the fakeness on social media and all, it just gets extremely wearing and extremely annoying. So, having had my little rant, on to better things. What I'm planning to do is, because my book, Two Cops and a Robber, which I keep referring to, my very thin book, came out in April, which was the start of the pandemic, really. I managed to get a book signing in with Victoria Bookshop, which was brilliant. But there wasn't really a lot more promotion, even though it sold and is still selling really well on Amazon. So what I'm looking to do is to do some of these podcasts in the next every week. And instead of me jabbering and gibbering on about my moanings of the world, then I'm thinking of bringing on guests, if we can do this by Zoom, where we can talk about elements of the book and refer, really, it's not a rant about David Powers Police or about anyone else. It's about elements that are important and that maybe are not talked about often enough and should be talked about so they can be aired. Because there's a lot of people that have contacted me since the book has come out to say how badly they were treated and how unjustly situations and things that have happened to them, and no one knows about them, and they're hidden, and you live with those, you know, for the rest of your life. And sometimes it's nice just to have meaningful conversation and chat and quality chat, and, you know, try and find a positive out of what's happened, which makes people feel better and it's a bit more, adds a bit more reality to the situation instead of festering away and upsetting people. So I've spoken to a few people who have appeared in the book, and they're more than happy to come on and have that little conversation. So that is my plan. But if, you know, anyone who's been in the job or anyone who knows me or thinks I'd like to jump in on this and have a discussion, then you're more than welcome. We could even do like a session where I think you can film it, where there's a few of you talking about issues and stuff, which would be quite interesting. And maybe we could do it on a Friday night with a little glass of wine, seeing as I found the 19 Crimes wine range, which is quite enjoyable. So we might be able to have a little bit of fun, especially with some of the personalities that I know. So that's my intention. Now, these will go out on the Fortis, my publisher's website, and they will probably also appear on my Facebook page. Now, Ken Scott told me to do this little video today as an intro and said, do not go longer than 15 to 20 minutes. Well, what a surprise. I've done 23 minutes because I could talk away to myself forever. I would never be bored on a desert island. I could entertain myself 24/7, no problem at all. So on that note, I'm going to cut it short because if I ramble on too long, people will get bored. So yeah, that's the plan. Every week there will be some sort of podcast, and I'm going to make it interesting, and it's just going to be real. And do you know what I mean? If you want to come on in your bloody pajamas, or you want to come on, you know, in a bloody mankini or whatever, I really don't care. Whatever you are comfortable in. It's not. We are just going down the road of no cheese and keeping it real, because I think we've had enough of the cheese and the fakeness, and I think we need a bit of more reality injected back into the world. So that's it. I'm going to cut it now, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.